So, you know, for when we're fighting, right? And I come in for a punch. Can you not kick me in the nuts?
Well, where I am now is I'm currently at Fight Club, and what we're doing here is my job is to come down here. What happens is people go inside the shooting gallery and they shoot up with alcohol, and then they posture and they try to find a mate. And when they've been unsuccessful with their mating habits, they come out into the parking lot and try to kill each other. So it's my job to stop them from killing each other using a minimum amount of force. And the problem is that there's a lot of cocaine and steroids involved here. So you get a lot of really big guys who luckily are not trying to kill me, but they're trying to kill each other, and then we prevent them from doing that, so that's a problem. So that's generally what I do for, just to keep it real, to make sure that you understand that there's no bullshit on the concrete, And I think that everyone who's ever been involved in any kind of law enforcement or making policy regarding law enforcement should probably come out and do something like this once in a while, just to, keep it real, so they know what's really happening on the ground.
Oh, it came out yesterday morning. So
are you guys local here?
Yeah, we're an anti-war coalition in Vancouver. We have about 50 member groups, and we work a lot on campuses and in outlying areas, as well as in Vancouver proper. But it's got an article on the war resistors, and one of the speakers, Brandon Huey, he spoke today, and he's trying to get refugee status in Canada. He deserted from the U.S. Army when he was denied discharge. Yeah, they're trying to just do it on the basis, like, that if they go back to the States, they'll be in prison.
So you are, just for everyone who didn't catch this, you are, what's your gig? What's your story?
I came to Canada because I had been given orders to participate in the invasion of Iraq, and I told my commanding officers I didn't think it was right, and I was refused a discharge.
Right.
So I saw this as my only option.
And you think, okay, what did you do when you were in?
I was trained as a tank driver, but they stationed me in headquarters of the 1st Cavalry Division, so I didn't have a specific job. I just did what I was told.
Yeah, that happens, yeah. Okay, and what about, so you're a refugee now, I guess, eh?
A refugee claimant.
Oh, right, and they're going to decide on that whether
The claim is still pending.
So where are you from originally, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay, originally I'm from San Angelo, Texas.
So you're a long way from home.
Yeah, a little bit so. Yeah.
That must be hard on, how's the family with all this? Are they supporting you?
Yeah, it's been hard to leave my family. That was the most difficult
I guess
part.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long way. I was down in Texas. I was in, where was I now? I was down in Gulf of Mexico for a little while there, but that's all right. Well, you know what, Chief? I hope you make it. You know what? Because I don't think anybody should be involved with that who doesn't want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I get conflicting views and stuff, but if you don't want to be there, you shouldn't be there, man.
Oh,
so
thanks.
I hope you get it, all right? Take it easy.
I have sat 2 10-day Vipassana meditation courses in the tradition of Theravada Buddhism. I have sat multiple Zazen sessions at the Zen Mountain Monastery, including personal training from resident monks in the Berkshire Mountains. My history also includes 2 years of Aikido training in the styles of Kokikai and Aikikai, as well as over a decade of macrobiotic practice. My father crafts meditation benches by hand and has taught me multiple techniques through very intensive training.
I've never meditated before. I've done some reading on it. I try to do some meditation once or twice, but I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. So my whole intention here is to, I mean, there's nothing to really stop you from sitting there, right? It's just you're sitting there. So all you gotta do is sit. And the way I see it is the more you try to do stuff, then you just kind of cause yourself to be tied up in knots. So my whole strategy going into this is to sit there longer than he does. And the only way I'm going to get by that is to just sort of, in essence, kind of like play like you're dead and release everything. That's pretty much what I got out of the books I kind of thumbed through. I've got the 3 Pillars of Zen, but I never read it. So we'll see how that goes.
Without hate, breath is just a clock, ticking, 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 ticking. Breath is just a clock, ticking. Without feelings, without love, without hate, breath is just a clock, ticking, ticking, ticking,
blues, it's like blue washed everything. It's because the sunlight on the eyes cuts out all the blue.
Take a look at this. Holy shit.
Yeah, I figured that would be what did you in, was the fucking concrete, eh? Ouch, dude.
Holy shit.
You are strong.
I didn't think about anything. That's the whole point. If you try to think about stuff, I got into this weird mantra there where I was going just release it, release it, release it, release it in my head. And then actually I felt the sound of the water kind of come over and everything kind of slurred up for a minute, and I almost felt like I was passing out for a second there. I lost all sense of time whatsoever. Like there's no, I couldn't tell you if we were there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I had no idea. Okay. So that's it. Zen fighting. Shall remain. Yeah. One of the reasons why you always want to have a GPS with you is so you can mark the location of buildings in the city that you want to remember. Like this building, for example. This is the Murian Rectifier Station. What that means, I have no idea. But the building has no windows on it whatsoever. After closer inspection, we discovered they have a lot of power switches and stuff due to, you know, infrastructure for the city goes on in this particular building. But what I'm interested in is actually the building itself. We got stone, brickwork, and iron fence protecting brickwork. There's no free access clear way to the rooftop. Fantastic. Now, in case of rapture, alien invasion, a place where you need to have a solid place to go that you can hunker down and wait it out, this building is just about perfect. Not a lot of windows. George A. Romero couldn't get into this building, let me tell you. So all you got to do is mark these locations on your GPS, and then we could start getting them all together. Coming up with good locations in each city. In Vancouver, there'd be so many different GPS grid coordinates where WOGs would go and take over the cities when the rapture comes, or whatever happens. I mean, sure, the likelihood of the rapture happening is very, very low. But having those GPS grid coordinates, kind of like, if you had them and you didn't need them, that would be okay. But if you needed those GPS grid coordinates and you didn't have them, that would suck. The other day I was at the mall and I was walking through the store, you know, one of those big box stores. And walking the other day was this guy. He was about 5'7", and he looked like he was about 57, and his face was super leathery, and he had a Canadian Airborne Regiment cap on. Now the thing is the Canadian Airborne Regiment caps can only be bought in one place, those particular caps, and it's in Petawawa. So I could tell by looking at him that he was one of the Airborne Regiment, because I've seen him before, you know. And he had the handlebar mustache. You know, that's a big thing. When you decided to make the lifetime commitment to the Canadian Army, you know, and that's the mohawk of the Canadian Army, is the handlebar mustache. You know, when you're a lifer, that's what you get, you know. And he had the Airborne cap on, so he was, and you could tell by looking at this guy, you know, like So I talked to him for a bit. He told me all about the marches he was on and his time with the commando groups and everything, you know. And there he was in Sears, you know, just buying a belt and stuff in the bargain bin and stuff like that. And I thought that was kind of sad. You know, here's this hero, really. You know, I mean, this is a guy who had his youth and his body robbed from him through suffering and through harsh winds and through extreme environments for the good of his country. And here he is in Sears, in the bargain bin, trying to buy a belt. That's not right. You know, you think that if you're at least going to give into that, you know, if you were going to be an Airborne Ranger, if you're going to be in the Special Forces of any country, of any army, you know, you should be, I don't know, you just shouldn't be scrounging around in bargain bins, you know? It just doesn't seem right somehow. And that made me think an awful lot about the pageantry of the Army. You know, they got all these ribbons, and Napoleon even said, I'll make people die for me just for these ribbons, you know? And young men, they want to prove they're men, you know? They want to prove that they can go out in the bushes and kill the bear and anoint themselves with the blood, and then we'll be men, you know, and we'll be respected and feared and loved and all that. And it's all bullshit. You know, it's all this weird image thing that we got, and this is in no way about the guy. You know, I don't want to mention him by name because, you know, he was I've met a ton of guys like him, you know, and he was so fiercely proud of what he was, and that's cool, I guess, you know, why not? But it just seemed to me that he kind of got ripped off. Let's take everything that you are, that you were born into this world. At one point you were like a gentle person, a loving person who didn't, you know, maybe you were married at one time and you loved your wife. And now that's gone because you got dragged through several countries and thrown out of planes and trained every day to kill people. And it takes a certain kind of damage to train people every day to kill people. It's not like the video games, you know, where you're running around with 200 pounds of gear on and, you know, you run through the desert and the streets of Mogadishu and you're shooting guys with your MP5 and you get shot and you respawn. No, the med kits don't work that fast, you know, and the joint damage comes over time and your back goes and your knees goes, and before you know it, you're walking with a cane, but you're airborne, you know, until you remuster to become a cook so you can finish out your tour and maybe end as a stores clerk, get your pension, which they cut you on. And with your pension, you're going to wind up in Sears looking in the bargain basement belt bin. So what do? Do you bin it? Do you just bin the whole thing? You say, screw it, screw the Army, screw the honor of our life, screw the honor of our nation, screw the pageantry of the military. Yeah, fuck the pageantry. And fuck the military too. Because, you know what? There's a lot of really good people in the Army who are getting really, really messed over. And they believe in the country, and they believe in this, you know, the ideas of freedom and stuff like that. But the money, it's all the corporations, you know, they're moving in on everything, and everybody wants the almighty dollar, and they're costing, you know, the blood of our best for money. I don't know what the answer is, you know, but don't join the Army, guys. Don't do it. It's not what you think, and it's not what they show you on TV either, you know, and you will stop being everything that you are. Maybe you can come out of it ahead. A lot of people go, but Sean, you were in the Army. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was in the Air Assault Regiment, or Battery. And it was a rough go, and anybody who was in there with me, they'd know I had a hard time with it. But at the end of the day, I met a lot of really interesting guys, and before you settle in an orchard, you might want to check the fruit on the trees. I'm here to tell you, there's nothing really good to see there. I just don't want to see... I'd like people to have a little more than just a bunch of pins on an old trucker cap that got painted a certain way. I like people to be themselves and express themselves rather than, you know, buy into the handlebar mustache. I'm just Sean Kennedy, you know. I'm just one guy. What do I know? That's my take on it.